guys, my name is Susie Schuster, and thank you so much for coming to this first ever live iteration of This Was SportsCenter. Please welcome with me my husband that I met in the newsroom in 1997, and we're still married, which is a miracle. Rich Eisen.
Thank you, Susie Schuster. All right. We got a packed house. This is awesome. How's everybody doing tonight? That's right. This is going to be a lot of fun. I met some of you up here on this stage in a meet and greet over the last hour, and the diehards are all here tonight. And I'm honored that you take some time out of your Super Bowl week to hang out here with us tonight. And give yourselves a round of applause because all the proceeds tonight go to Jimmy V Foundation. So well done to everybody here this evening. Clearly, the first season of this show would not be complete without tonight's interviewee and my guest, and I could not be more honored to welcome a man in his 47th year with ESPN. He joined just a month after the launch of this awesome network. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Swami himself, Chris Berman.
Happy Super Bowl. I heard it's in San Francisco. Is that true? Buffalo's winning.
It is in San Francisco. All right. Chris Berman is here, and this is the first and probably only live edition of This Was SportsCenter, so thank you for being that guest, Chris Berman.
It's good to see you again, pal.
Yeah, right back at you.
You know what? Those TVs behind you over there?
Yeah.
I think we were on those. I was, at least, you know.
Well, I mean, in the VHS...
Antenna, the key is the antenna, right?
In the VHS tapes that we have here.
Although we had 2-inch tapes once upon a time.
Back in that day.
Oh, yeah, VHS. I still have a VHS machine.
So...
I mean, what the hell?
Why not?
Am I going to throw it out for what, right?
So let's start this conversation with the first time you heard the letters ESPN was when, Chris Berman?
So let's see. It was the summer of, or spring of 1979. We were not on the air yet, or not we. I wasn't it. I was a second-year job out of college. Was in Waterbury, Connecticut, on the radio. I did sports talk show at night, which before they were around, and I did traffic reports in a car. In Waterbury, Connecticut, where the traffic was always the same. So it was, it was light to moderate or moderate to light. So, whatever. At the same time, I had just started at Channel 30 on the weekend only, which is the NBC station in Hartford, Connecticut.
WVIT.
WVIT, and
right.
Was making. We only had the 11, Rich, then.
That's it?
This is Hartford. This isn't, Presque Isle, Maine. This is Hartford. $23 a show.
$23
It was the after minimum. And but one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and I still have my radio job. And I heard about this sports network, and we were going to start, and where was it? And I had an interview, and and then they went on the air on September 7th, 1979, a day that to some will live in infamy.
Yea, verily, a sampler of wonders. Hi, I'm Lee Leonard, welcoming you to Bristol, Connecticut.
Right after that, Scotty Connell was our number 2 guy. Now, a lot of this is, kind of boring maybe, but
it is not.
The fact. And he said, I went in for a second interview. By that point, he and Chet Simmons, who were running NBC Sports till a couple of years before, so this is real TV, they had me in. And you never know who you're going to meet when you're really far down. In college, I was working as a runner for NBC when they were in the New England area with the Patriots and the Red Sox.
For Brown, when you were in
Brown?
Okay.
Yeah.
Brown's in the house. I heard that.
I heard that. Is that true?
Not Cleveland.
No. Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island, and we've had a tough time here in December, so think of those folks, please.
Right.
2 students and families forever. I didn't mean to go there, but we had to. At any rate, he said at the end of the hour interview, he went, well, I see that you're on. I said, I'm not going to give you a tape. I'm on every night on Saturday and Sunday night doing sports. So if I'm terrible, you'll see. It's
right.
a doctored tape. If I'm good, you'll see. And he goes, you know what? We had reports from the truck that you were, back in the day as a college senior, you were a good kid. And that's a big reason why I'm hiring you. I'd only been on TV for like a month, and he went, you know, we'd like to hire you as the overnight 2:30 a.m. SportsCenter show, and we can offer you $16,000. And come on now. When you're doing 2 jobs and making $9, it's pretty good. And I said, well, you know, you don't have to move me. I live here in Connecticut. This is my first job as an agent and last. How about 16.5? And I got it.
I got the 5.
I got the 5. You don't have to move me. So, I mean, no moving van. At any rate, you're going to start October 1st, 1979. ESPN went on the air September 7th. I was the overnight guy, which means 11:30 here in San Francisco or LA, and 9:30 in Hawaii if it's in the winter, and Alaska, but in the East, 2:30 used as a nightlight. And I couldn't wait to do it. I said, wait a minute, what is our show going to be? Here we go to the SportsCenter. Well, we envision this being a 15, 20-minute wrap-up show at the end of the night, and you're going to be doing it, and you're essentially tomorrow's newspaper. If anybody is up watching, or on the West Coast, they are, because the Dodgers or the Giants or whatever just ended, and they're up. And I went, you mean we're just going to do 30 minutes of sports?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back once again to the ESPN SportsCenter,
which is still television's most comprehensive report of sports news.
Walter Cronkite only does 30 minutes, and he does the entire world of news.
It's like,
we just have to do sports? So how good is this?
Yeah.
And they're going to pay me to do it?
Yeah.
And at
Sold.
2:30 in the morning, I could really not be really good and get away with it for a while. And that's how it started for me. I did that show primarily, Rich, 3 or 4 years.
Speaking of Ireland, here's the old Irishman himself, Chris Berman.
Huh? Get back away there. He's eyeing those cold ones too much.
And did you do it solo, or were you doing
Solo in the very, very beginning, but then pretty soon thereafter, I did a lot of shows with Tommy Mees more than anybody else, the late, great Tom Mees, who, thank you. It'll be 30 years this summer that he drowned, actually. 96.
Yeah, that's when I first showed up in the building.
Tough time.
But were you the first, would you say, pairing sports?
Yeah, kind of at
tandem?
the overnight we were.
And now, without further ado, I give you the master, the magic carpet, the maven of the M&M set. And yes, the supreme seer of Super Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Swami.
Aha, may the bird of paradise lay an egg on your eagles, Mr. Mees.
Get you later.
All right, you will get me later.
Who else was doing it then?
Well, we had 7 of us doing sports.
7. That was it.
And we had a 6 o'clock, we had a 11:30, I want to say. And
Right.
we had a 2:30, and then on the weekends we had a 10, a 6, a 11:30, and a 2:30. So there were 7 of us, and I called us the 7 Mercury astronauts. You know, we went up, and we weren't sure we were going to come down. Right? I mean, we just hoped to land in the friggin' ocean. So, yeah, it was, let's see, Lee Leonard and George Grand, and there was a fellow from Chicago who had experience named Bob Waller, and there was Greg Wyatt who had San Diego experience, and there were 3 kids. Well, excuse me, there was Lou Palmer, so somebody came in a little later, Lou Palmer, God rest his soul, and then the 3 kids, Bob Lee, was my age, 24.
Right.
Chris Berman, 24. And Tom Mees was probably 26 or something at the time, 26 or 27. And we were 3. We had no clue what we were doing.
Hello, I'm Bob Lee.
You're a poet now?
I'm trying.
I'm Chris Berman. The SportsCenter is next.
None at all. What do you
I
mean?
mean, some were talking sports, but
Right.
it was pretty primitive.
Next up, though, we go to the West
for the Boomers and the Sockers. The Boomers.
The
I didn't
Boomers.
just realized
Gotta root
that.
'em on.
Bob Lee, that's the Boomer.
I'll be back with George Grant at 11 for the next SportsCenter. See you later.
I mean, I could tell you some early stories. I mean, this is all true. I'd like to say that I'm making this up, but then again, this is your hour. We used to have the studio really wasn't completely done with the control room. So the first month or so, we had big wires like you would see running out from the cameras out like big garage door. Imagine that was ajar, maybe, 6 inches, and then out to trucks in the back.
Sure.
So this is September, October, November. Unbeknownst to anybody, a skunk got in. Not while a show was on, but at some point.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Apparently didn't think much of the programming and did what skunks do when they're not really thrilled.
Right.
So how many of you have had a skunk in your garage? All right, so you can get him or her out. They don't really want to be in there anyway. You open the door, and does the smell leave in the next day? No. Does it take about 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yes.
So
so we did shows coughing and smelling the skunk who was in there, not at that time. That's how we did some of the very early SportsCenter shows. So if they really did stink, you were correct if you thought that they did. I got one other real early story that I like to tell, because again, true. I mean, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. You found that out.
Understood,
These are all
yeah.
True.
Right.
So we, in the very early days, had college football was not a lot, unless it was at ABC, I think, had Game of the Week, and they had 5 games. We negotiated that we could have 5 college games a week, but none could hit the air until midnight Saturday night.
Right.
Okay, just as exclusivity as it was in 79 and 80. So the A game, I'm making this up now, let's say would be Ohio State and Michigan, okay? And that would run at midnight on Saturday night, and we had Jim Simpson,
Right.
who was a big name at the time from NBC. Jim Simpson, and I think pretty early, Paul McGuire, maybe the first year, not Paul, but at any rate, so that would be Saturday night, midnight, and we present it like it was just happening. I mean, it was over, 8 hours before, but
Right.
this is a big deal. We have Ohio State and Michigan. Then Sunday night, there was no Sunday night football yet, would be the B game. And that's, I'm making it up, UCLA against USC. Okay. That would run Sunday night at 9 o'clock. And then, well, not Monday, so Tuesday night, because there was Monday Night Football, Tuesday we'd have the C game, North Carolina against Clemson. Okay? Then Thursday night we'd have the D game, which would be Bowling Green against Miami of Ohio, okay? And that was on Thursday night. So Friday night, understand this is 6 nights after it actually happened, okay? We'd have the E game, which could be Heidelberg and Muhlenberg, okay? Now, I don't know if those are the 2 teams playing, but they could have been. It could be St. Olaf against, you get the picture, right?
Yeah.
I'm the only guy on Friday night. We're getting ready to do the 2:30 a.m. show.
Yeah.
The game starts at 10 or 10:30. Call comes up from the tape room at 11 o'clock. This is all true, Rich. Chris? Yeah. Ray down the tape. I'll not say his last name because his names are protected. We protect the innocent. Ray, what's going on? Oh, what do you mean? Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what's going on down here. So is everybody safe? Is there,
You're right.
Somebody hurt? No.
Yeah.
Is there a fire? No. Worse. I go, what do you mean worse? There's hardly anybody in the building at the time. We only had like 80 employees at this time. And, a lot of them were home sleeping because they were salesmen, right? So they had nothing to do with us at 11 at night. So what happened? He goes, well, the game is 6 reels of tape, And we went from reel 1, of which then we would put on, well, we'd have PSAs, Gregory Peck telling you to turn off the lights, Amazoizia lawn care, how you get a better lawn, Ginzu knives, true. Ginzu knives. And yeah, and he goes, well, we put reel 6 on. I said, well, what would you like me to do about that? Right. Well, we can't. It's supposed to go 2.5 hours, and the game's almost over, and it's only 20 minutes in. Like, okay, well, can you get on and say something? Okay.
Yeah.
And so in 3 minutes, I combed out a lot of hair then. I mean, I got my hair done, whatever, and put on a tie, like the Dangerfield, and I tell you, and I said something about Rip Van Winkle, like, you have not fallen asleep 20 years. I mean, this is honest. I mean, but even though and I know the score is Heidelberg 35 and Muhlenberg 32, we've had a little error. We now take you back to action late in the first quarter with the score Heidelberg 3, Muhlenberg nothing. Those 10 touchdowns give us some time. I mean, I said this. I didn't know
sometimes you just got to talk about the elephant in the room, I mean, to be honest with you,
You've not heard that story, have you?
I've never heard that story, because my first big job was in television, was in Redding, California. And yes, just right up north from here. And we had a teleprompter that would work with a foot pedal that you would operate yourself. And you'd give it some gas to move the prompter, and you'd take your foot off to have the prompter slow down. But the problem was that the prompter would sometimes just go asterisk, exclamation point, just nothing, just gibberish. And that happened to me one night. And then they rolled the wrong tape, and then they went to black, and then the graphics all went to shit. And I sat there and I said on TV, I'm broiling in my own sweat. I said that to the camera, because sometimes you just have to state the obvious, Chris. You know what I mean?
Live TV, listen.
You know what I mean?
You can't tap that, but they're seeing it too, so why, I'm working on it. No, I mean, it happens.
Right.
Nothing like live TV, which is, especially at 2:45 in the morning.
Partner, I know you're going to be... Oh, I'd like to stay and watch it. I got to get out of here. My plane leaves for spring training. Can you finish this up yourself?
I have to do it all by my lonesome. Take care. Have a good trip. Don't forget your toothbrush.
Good. Oh, gee, I'll have to forget that too. But I got the suntan oil and I got my red and green.
That's all that counts, partner.
I'll see. Really,
take care.
So when did you realize, Chris, that this was hitting, that this was a real phenomenon, that you were taking off on a rocket ship? When did that first hit you?
Well, that's a good question, but I will say this. We did all believe right away, and maybe not when the skunk was in the studio.
Yes.
But we did believe, there are people out there like us. There are people out there like you guys, right? Like they're changing diapers. I found this with letters. Changing diapers on a baby in Iowa, and I watch you every night at 1:30 Central.
We're going to give you a number, in this case, for tonight's game, 41. You add up the total points at the end of the game. If the Patriots win, a 6-0, for example, obviously the total is 6, and that is called an under. If the Patriots win 39-36, obviously you add that up, that's 75, and that is way over the 41 points.
And I'm thinking, I'm 24 years old. Why would you change diapers at 1:30? Why? I mean, you quickly find out that that's the way it goes, right? But I actually count on you. Yeah. So, A, there are people that are interested. B, you're talking to, they're tuning in, even though cable was not in a lot of places, and we have to even date. I mean, there are not many in here that understand. So the long-around answer to that is, well, cable TV, when we started, we were in 3 million homes. Now, that didn't mean we were on TV. Nobody had them turned on all the time.
Right.
And the United States has a lot of homes. So with cable, you used to get 5 stations if you lived in a city, right? Or 3, or with a circular thing, a little UHF, right? And
This thing right here.
yeah, there it is. We all owned it. Why would anyone spend $20 to get 30? This is really, if you're young, you have to listen to this. 1979, 1980, 1981. I'm going to spend $20 a month to get 36 channels, of which I have to sleep, I have to eat, I have to change babies' diapers, I have to go to work. There's no VHS machines yet. We're not taping my favorite show. I get 5 and they're free. Why would I want 36 of them? And think of what you pay now for TV, which is a joke, right? So $20 a month, no one's gonna, but people started doing it. You got that box with the buttons, right? And so by 81, 82, now you're in whatever the figures told us, and I'm gonna have it wrong, Rich, 8, 9, 10 million, and I'd be places. And I'm still primarily doing the overnight show.
Just give them a basketball and let them play. That's all the Celtics were saying. They tossed one out this afternoon, and the Washington Bullets wished that such a momentous occasion had never occurred.
And a waiter would come over or something, and you realize the restaurant, not everybody worked 9 to 5. Now especially, but even 40 years ago, it was a revelation that, no, not everyone does this. The restaurant business, let's say on the West Coast, they're up watching late because they're not necessarily partying. They're coming home from work and they're turning on. There's not a lot on. And the waiter would tell you, so what does the Swami want to drink? Like, what? What do you mean? Oh, no, we watch you every Friday for your football picks.
And tonight, in the Miami-New England game, the over-under, at least that I have heard or is printed, is 41. That is the magic number. And if you ask me for tonight, that is about right there. I picked 24-17. That adds to 41.
And so little by little, you check into a hotel somewhere and they have ESPN on. ESPN was 1979. CNN was 1980. MTV, when it was MTV, was 1982. All of a sudden, now you're earlier, 83-ish, 84, you want them in your hotel because that's your hometown stations. So you're really realizing, not on a daily basis, but on a kind of a quarterly basis, more people are seeing you.
The guy who wore number 7 for the Detroit Lions back in 1935 was a heck of a lot more talented than me, I can guarantee that. He was Dutch Clark, and he led the Lions to an NFL title win over the New York Giants. As for these helmets, a lot of visibility, but it's a good thing he didn't have to take any hits from Mean Joe Green.
You're the late guy. Yeah, I am. Where do you live? Tampa. What are you doing up late? I work the 2 shifts. Sure. I get off at midnight, And you kind of had a feeling that it's sports, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
If you're playing the Bucs and you're trying to earn yards against them, you're going to find it's a big, big problem. It's 4th and 26 at the Buccaneers camp. As usual, I'm Chris Berman, ESPN.
And we're putting out a pretty good product. We were never slapstick. We had early games on that you might remember, Australian rules football, which was hilarious, right? And with the guy with the hat and the ref and all that.
This thing, yeah.
Still don't know what it means, but it meant somebody scored. And we had stuff on that was, it's not, okay, put a pie in someone's face. That wasn't what we put on. We had little, like say it, midget racing, it not tattoo, okay, or mini-me. It was like little cars, but somebody was into this, and we had it on.
The American Cup International Hang Gliding Championship is raging in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and pending today's 3rd day of the competition, the U.S. has almost a 3,000-point lead over Great Britain.
But we also had SportsCenter, which was giving you the only highlights of baseball games, Kansas City at Seattle, okay? And wow, if I'm a sports fan, I'm not getting this anywhere else.
All good things must come to an end. I guess that's the tune the Detroit Tigers are singing tonight, because the New York Yankees ended the Tigers' 8-game winning streak. But for the Pinstripers, it was a reminder of how easy it is for them to win a game. Just grab the lead before the 8th or 9th and let Goose Gossage go to work.
And we were pretty excited about what we were doing. And Cable was rich. Cable was growing, and we were growing. We rode Cable's coattails, and Cable rode ours. And by 87, I know 8 years can seem like a long time, but not for us. ESPN got the NFL. Like, nobody thought, NFL in 8 years, Sunday Night Football, and the show called NFL Primetime?
Good evening once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to ESPN's debut of NFL Primetime, and we hope this becomes a habit.
But that's 8 years, so you know, God, we must be doing okay.
Yeah. Did you always do your nicknames from the beginning on WVIT? Were you doing
No, not
nicknames?
VIT, but
so it started on SportsCenter. When
yes,
you started
in
doing
the summer of 80.
The pitching thin Bucks will be without Ross. Here we go. I never promised you a Baumgarten. Terry Swimming Pool drove in all 3 runs for the Astros. He has won the vote of reliever Rick Summer Camp.
Jim, 2 silhouettes on Deshays. Don Welcome Mattingly with a drive to the right field corner of Joe Actual Retail Price.
The nicknames, Rich, were going back to Brown. On the rare nights that we weren't in the library, very rare nights, of course.
Yes.
And we would be sipping on, obviously, a Perrier, where, you know, which is what we Ivy Leaguers do. We wouldn't, you know, and 18 was legal drinking then, so I don't want to hear anything, okay? So you'd look at box scores, not, you know, for 3 hours a night, but and I'd make a few nicknames and we just laugh. I was always kind of a nickname guy.
Boom, with the bases loaded. Bill Doran, hungry like a wolf with the grand slam home run.
You know, I did not invent Babe Ruth. I've been asked that. That wasn't me. But a kid did ask me that once.
No, I'm kidding.
Did you come up with Babe Ruth? Not really, but I'll take credit for it. So now we're in like May of 1980. And you're out there at 2:30 in the morning, and that's my shift. But I don't care who you are. If you're talking at 2:30 in the morning, you're not quite right. You know what I mean? So a couple of them came out. True, not a plan.
Just came.
Not a plan. And they go back to Brown. It was either, the first one was either Frank Tanana was a really good pitcher, Frank Tanana Daiquiri, or John Mayberry was a nice first baseman.
Right.
And John Mayberry, RFD. It was one of those two came out, and we wear an earpiece called an IFB, and they said, I got in my ear in the middle of the show, what was that? And it just came out, and I thought I'd said like a 4-letter word. You know, like, oh my God, my career is over.
Right.
What are you doing? And we got to the commercial, and the camera people were laughing. Nobody got hurt. I said, you know what? Tomorrow night, I'm going to try a couple more. and I mean, it's 2:45. The ball's sitting awake, and they were organic. If you ever try to do something to be noted like that, it never works. It never works. You might think it does.
Right.
You're noted for 15 minutes of fame.
Sure.
So they started, Rich, in the summer of 80, but here's why. A lot of the games were not on, even though they were all being, so Seattle at Kansas City at Seattle on a Tuesday night, not on TV.
Right.
1980, 81. So we put up this thing on TV called a chyron, or a font. I mean, it's changed them into Giz or whatever, all these things. Kansas City 5, Seattle 2. Well, embellish it a little. Well, George Brett had 3 hits, and Jay Ferris Buhner had a home run. He wasn't having a day off for Seattle, you know? And
right.
You're just you're not making a joke of something. It just add a little flavor to it. It says 5-2 for 60 seconds. So throw a few of these out. And so through the 80s, I'd get lists from fans, and maybe some of you sent them in. If I laughed at any of them, they were used the next night.
It was Mike Pepperoni Piazza. Luis Speedy Gonzalez scores 1. Going Gonzalez. Jeff Conine the Barbarian. Scott Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
They had ghostwriters in 50 states and provinces in Canada. and it was great. And people at work would come up with them. I mean, the best one was the best one of all time. The best one was, I think Calvin Haywood, a great director that passed away a few years ago. At any rate, he said, how about for Bert Blyleven, which is my favorite one, Bert, be home, Blyleven, right? Why does that work? It works because you don't have to know he was a pitcher.
Right.
You don't have to know he had a great curveball. You don't have to know he played for the Minnesota Twins or the Pirates or whatever. All you have to know is, are you a kid? Yeah, you heard your parents say, be home by 11. And if you're a parent, you said, be home by 11. So they work when it's not an inside joke if it's for everybody.
Yeah.
And it was organic, Rich, I swear. And I mean, there are over 1,000 of them. I mean, most of them go back to the 80s, 90s when I was doing SportsCenter all the time. And then, of course, primetime happened, and now you have some football ones. So, it's fun.
And primetime, you know, got a nice round of applause here when you mentioned it. The draft, the NFL draft. When did that first hit your desk? And did you think that was televisable when you first heard about it? Because it really is just a list of names being read off. That's it. And it could be done.
Well, we both know.
Okay, yeah.
Right? How
know?
many have you done? I've done whatever, 35 or 40 of them.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, you were the original OG creator of the role that I have been, you know, so fortunate to do for NFL Network now for 23 years. And, well, no, thank you. But I'll never forget, though, when I first did it for the first time in Radio City Music Hall, and we had our set over the right, and you were on the left side of the
I remember.
of the theater, and you just looked at me and you just gave me one of those, which meant the world to me.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, you were a prince for that sort of thing. To just give me one of those before I started, because I was just trying to continue on the way that obviously you and ESPN had created it. But when you first heard it, did you think, like, there's no way this is going to be anything at all?
Well, we did it the first, it would have been April, maybe it was late March, but first April of 80. That was the only one I wasn't involved in. I mean, and it was rudimentary.
Right.
And the meeting apparently was, you know, Pete Rozelle, the commissioner, Chet Simmons went to, we'd like to televise the NFL draft.
Hi, hello, and welcome to the New York Sheraton Hotel's Grand Ballroom, the site of the 1980 National Football League College Player Draft.
I mean, now, obviously, I'm not in that meeting, right?
Right.
I'm a 24-year-old guy doing the overnight show that, you know, I'm cleaning the floors later.
Right.
So Pete Rozelle said exactly what you said. As Chet had told me. I mean, he's passed on, but he told me this. He goes, well, it's like reading the Manhattan phone book. You really want to put that on TV? And Chet goes, it's our only chance to have one day of the NFL.
A lot of excitement at the club office, the 28 club offices all around the country, where you have your scouting people, your management people, and your coaches, and they'll relay the picks to the representatives here, and we'll announce them at the draft.
It was on a Tuesday, by the way, at 8 a.m., and we had so you really had to be
Deep into it.
Right, and so I started the second one, not the host. I mean, I had a variety of roles. One year I was in like a New York lunch place.
You can see the red and the white tablecloths, maybe a little early for some to start going, but we're at Mike Minucci's restaurant, where a lot of sports folk and the Big Apple will be coming out to give their opinions on the draft. It's at 7th Avenue and 52nd. And if you're the Big Apple, you want to give your opinion, by all means, stop by.
My dad came, he was working in New York, watching me do, and we had Kyle Rote, we had some old New York Giants planted come in, and then one year I was out here at Redwood City and did the 49ers. By the way, it started at 5 a.m. These teams were drafting players at 5 a.m. I mean, and, you know, and they traded for Russ Francis that day. But here's what I realized pretty quickly, even back then. For football, then, when the season ended and the Super Bowl ended like January 22nd or whatever the day was,
right,
the draft was like an oasis in the middle of a desert, except because there was no free agency, there was no nothing, there was no schedule release. This was your team,
right?
Except for a few people you're going to draft. And unless you lived wherever you lived and you're reading about your one team, this was a football gathering place on April 20th or whatever, when they finally then moved it to a weekend to more people.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and welcome to the 53rd National Football League. They'll call it the selection meeting. We call it the draft. The crowd is ready. We're ready here at ESPN.
And then football went into hibernation again until the training camp opened. So it was like for 6 months. This was the one day that, we didn't have mock drafts in November, okay? Like, by the way, it's a little much, okay? We didn't have drafts in front of 300,000 people. By the way, it's a little much, okay? But it's unbelievable, but
well, the guy who does all the mock drafts now is Mel Kiper.
No, I'm not knocking Mel.
I will never
love
forget, Chris, I will never forget being in college and watching him basically say the Jets have no idea what the draft is all about. Or that was the Colts have no idea what the draft is all about.
You got a problem with this move? I think it's a typical Colt move. I mean, here's a team that needed a franchise quarterback.
He would just go lay into it. And I'm sitting in college, and I'm like, wow, this guy sitting next to Berman is losing his mind.
To pass up a Trent Dilfer when all you have is Jim Harbaugh, give me a break. That's why the Colts are picking second every year in the draft, not battling for the Super Bowl like other clubs in the National Football League.
And it was wild. It was wild. Just to see moments like that, and then have the general managers come on, and then the coaches react.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way? I mean, here's a guy that criticizes everybody, whoever they take. He's got the answers to who you should take and who you shouldn't take. In my knowledge of him, he's never ever put on a jockstrap. He's never been a player. And all of a sudden, he's an expert. He's in our papers 2 days ago telling us who we have to take. We don't have to take anybody that Mel Kiper says we have to take.
It was obvious that this was becoming not just something for the fans, but it was an industry must-see also, which is what SportsCenter became with you doing it, where players wanted to come on and coaches wanted to come on, and they were watching you, and they were watching, Bob and Tom Mees and the rest of the OGs that were starting, John Saunders and whatever, and the draft was 100% on top of what SportsCenter was doing, connecting it together with the NFL coming to ESPN, and off it went. Like, there's no question about it.
I mean, the draft, another thing, we put it on, or chat, they thought of it like, because this was one day big time for us. And no way they could have thought it's become the extravaganza. I know it's been 40 plus years.
Right.
Again, it was an oasis for football fans in the middle of the 6 month dark period.
Right.
And SportsCenter, and then we had college basketball on. The early days, like, oh, there's a college basketball game on Tuesday night?
Yeah, right.
Who's playing? Well, Louisville's playing, it's Denny Crum, and they're playing whoever they were playing. Like, there was no college basketball on Tuesday night.
Right.
So we were the first to televise the tournament. I know, CBS is off and running with it, and they have for a long time. They've done great, but we invented it.
And you also would go to the games when it was coming to an end, too. I remember that. Like, hey, let's go to this game.
Yep.
There's 90 seconds left.
We could do it.
And it was one after another. I remember that, too. This is, again, me growing up, watching you and watching SportsCenter, and then for me to suddenly be part of it, where I was in Redding, California. I got a call at work from an agent I'd never heard of before. I'd sent a tape to a headhunter, and they say to me, I hear you're one of the most hot, up-and-coming sportscasters in America. And yeah, that was my reaction. I scared the newsroom. And I said, if
are the Beatles here?
I know that, right. I'm like, if you say so, because I've got to take my 3/4-inch camera equipment, connected by coaxial cable, connected to this deck that's on my other shoulder.
I got
to go drive to Yuba City. I didn't feel anything but, in the middle of starting my career $6.75 an hour is what I was making as well. And so I see your $23 a show and raise you that hourly rate. But the reason why I'm telling you this is it wound up 5 minutes before Al Jaffe called me at the same number at work to say I was on their radar screen, and I wound up auditioning, and I wound up getting the job.
The last 2 years, the New York Knicks made much ado about having 4 separate first-round draft picks. Perhaps the scouting report has changed because in the last 2 weeks, they've traded them all away.
When you first started on SportsCenter back in 1996, which is now close to 20 years into the existence of the company, and they would have you observe. They would have you sit in on meetings, and you'd have to sit around and watch the SportsCenter anchors and the production staff go do their thing. And one of the first days I was there as a SportsCenter trainee in 1996, there was one anchor who was already leaving to do other things for the company from the SportsCenter chair that he helped create.
SportsCenter, Chris Berman. I am merely Dan Patrick.
Oh, stop. This is your house. I'm just passing through. How are you? Seeing each other about as much as during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To come back every now and then and just do a few shows a week. And that guy was Chris Berman.
I tell you what, it's your show. I'm just visiting here. Have a good time.
And I remember you walked in the room, Chris, and it was the same guy. You were the same guy I watched on television.
It seemed to be just a short while ago that the Houston Astros were stumbling, rumbling, bumbling.
You were the same guy to everybody. You were the same person, same personality.
A reminder today that no one circles the wagons. Look at that. Like the Buffalo Bills.
And I thought to myself, that's why you're so successful. Because I'm like, I know that guy. I felt I know that guy, and I knew that guy. And I just wanted to share that story in front of all these people. It's the truth.
Well,
it really is the truth. You know, and so just watching you do your thing, you know, it helped kind of calm my nerves a little bit about how to get ready to do this thing at age 26 and start my SportsCenter career. And I've told you this other story as well. I'll tell it here as well. The guys in the front row from my show know this story's coming. I think I told this to you as well. So you remember those banners that
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've told me this.
Go
ahead.
I'll tell the story. Okay, so the story is this. There's ESPN banners that they put on the side of stadiums to let everybody know who's broadcasting the game, ESPN. And they would always take these banners, fellow coworkers, and hang them over the sides of the prefabricated cubicles that would form the hallways of ESPN. And it would say, please sign this for charity. And I was so nervous about signing these banners because I was new. And I was afraid that somebody like you or Dan Patrick or Keith Olbermann or Robin Roberts or just name it, Charlie Steiner, these were all the people who were doing SportsCenter when I was there, Linda Cohen, Craig Kilborn, and I was afraid to sign them, that you'd come out of your office and say, who does this new dipshit think he is signing these banners? And one night, I'm doing a 7 p.m. SportsCenter, and you were doing the 7:30 baseball tonight, or was it the other way around?
It was.
You were in the makeup chair,
Yeah.
and I'd never met you yet. And this is the first time I ever met Chris Berman. And I said, screw it, I'm going to ask. And I asked you, since you've been there since 1979, how many SportsCenters do I have to do? Now, you don't remember this story, right? Like you remember
told
this?
me, but
no, but you don't remember this happening, obviously, because
No.
All right, so I say, how many? And you say to me, how many have you done? At least one? And I'm like, yeah. And you said, fuck it, sign them all. And I grabbed a Sharpie and I went down the line. I signed them all, and I never thought for a split second again. And you made me welcome there, man. And you had to have known you were an ambassador for this sort of thing for people like me, I'd imagine, back in the day. So
Yeah, but those days, not that it's different. it's different not only because we're so much bigger, but even the 90s when you started and even the 2000s, you knew a bulk of people. They didn't all have to be on air, or they could be, in our studio, or they could be doing any type of job. But we looked out for each other. And so I was you once. Not that there was anybody for me to ask in 1970. We didn't have banners. I don't think we could afford them. So,
yeah.
But again, as far as being the same person, I will say this in our business and in any business. If you, certainly on TV, if you try to be someone who you're not, like, oh, you're the old radio voice, hello, and is that how you wake up? No, I hope not. If you try to be somebody else who you're not, and you're on every night, the difference of ESPN, the network, still, we're on every day. And if we're not ourselves when a tape doesn't go right, or something, breaking news happens, and then you're an actor or an actress, okay? That's my opinion.
So that there would be no way that the Colts would have a chance at the defending Super Bowl champs who seem to be back on their game. That's why they play the game.
They can see through if you're on every night. Boy, last night he seemed like he was trying to be somebody else. And tonight he's this and that. It doesn't work. People are smart. People want to be, okay, who are you comfortable with? Look, not everybody likes chocolate ice cream, right? Plenty don't. But if you're chocolate ice cream, just be it. Right? and if there's some people that don't want to order you, they'll watch the test pattern that was on opposite me at 2:30 in the morning.
Right, exactly.
But
But no, I totally understand what you're saying. Stewart was exactly himself. Dan Patrick, Keith, Linda Cohn, everybody who's been doing it for Scott Van Pelt. In the current day,
he's who he is.
These are honestly, when you meet them, they're the same people that you see on the air, and that it hit me like, well, Kilborn was fake, but I told him that's fake. I'm just kidding. I told him that's fake. But no, but he was, that's who he is off the air too. Whenever you meet Craig, literally when I'll never forget, after doing one of my first SportsCenters, I ran into him in a hallway. He's coming up the stairwell. I'm going back. He's going down the stairwell to do a show. I'm going up after having done one. He goes, "Oh, you're the new guy, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And he goes, "Oh, I've been seeing what you're doing. You're doing a lot of what I do. That's good."
Well, he was,
and I'm like, that's the guy I've seen on television,
Well, here's the thing, Rich. Let's break it down to be real here. We're not smart enough to be anybody else. So why wouldn't we be ourselves, right?
Well done.
Let's break it down.
I appreciate you saying that. This was SportsCenter is presented by Gusto. Look, the economy is a lot right now, and if you're a small business owner, you probably feel it. You can't control interest rates or tariffs, but you can control how efficiently your business operates. Automating payroll and HR with Gusto is one of the fastest ways to cut friction and focus on what actually moves the needle. Gusto is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use, so you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. It's quick and simple to switch to Gusto. Just transfer your existing data to get up and running fast. Plus, don't pay a cent until you run your first payroll and get direct access to certified HR experts to help support you through any tough HR situation. There's a reason Gusto is ranked #1 on G2's highest satisfaction products list for 2026 and trusted by over 400,000 small businesses. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/TWSC and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/TWSC. One more time, gusto.com/TWSC. In the few minutes we have left here, you said to me downstairs, you said to me, we've done a SportsCenter before, right? And I'm like, yes, we have. And as a matter of fact, we looked it up.
We found one?
We found it October 11th, 2001. Was when we
did Space Odyssey.
We did that.
That's what it was.
And roll it. Here's the.
Oh, God.
How about overtime finishing in college football? Ralph Friedgen, Lefty Driesell. Ralph Friedgen, Lefty Driesell. Maryland excited.
They play righty-lefty.
Yes, they do. Chris Berman, Rich Eisen. We're excited. Glad you could be with us.
Coming up on the show, Michael Jordan. He's coming back. And major.
He is?
Yes, he is.
I
don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll let you know what happened with the Michael Jordan comeback and if the Jets can conjure up more magic for the Dolphins in the Meadowlands this year.
But we have baseball to talk about. Afternoon baseball. Lefty, righty. Yeah, that comes into play there too, Rich.
There it is.
Wow.
The hi hello.
I mean, these shows, it's just television and sports. It's not brain surgery. Just do it, right? Like, you were young. Yeah. I still have.
I did have
ties.
confirmed.
Listen, I got 300 ties. Okay, I mean, some of them I haven't worn since probably that show.
That's right. Yeah.
For good reason. But so what?
Yeah.
You know, I worked with Greg Gumbel, who we lost this past year, and I'm glad you mentioned John Saunders. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, but no, we had pairings, and people liked pairings. And you and Stuart were very special, and I did a lot with those people I mentioned, mostly with Tommy Mees and Dan and Keith. And it was a different, that was kind of the way it was presented, right? Like, even if you watch your local news, it was two people. And hopefully we were comfortable in your homes.
Glad you could join us in your chaise lounges. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, along with John Saunders, on this hour-long edition of the SportsCenter.
I mean, because I think, and I speak for Rich, and I speak for all of us at ESPN, that we don't ever take for granted that, you know, you can invite a lot of people into your homes via the we used to call it the boob tube, but by, you know, the thing in the middle of your living room or your family room, which is now like 90-inch TV, which, you know, heaven forbid we might have a zit. But, I mean, that would be pretty, back then, 13-inch TV, okay, we look fine. But you allowed us into your homes, and we can't take that for granted, you know, and we hope we included you, that's what SportsCenter is about, in our conversation.
It's the first time the Steelers would be 4-0 since 1979. Oh, by the way, that was their last Super Bowl year. So we shall see if the echoes are woken up by the Steelers and the Packers at a tundra which is not yet frozen, but yet it still is at Lambeau Field.
Like, you're not speaking back to us. You might yell at us like, whoa, you know, but and we say that, it's not pap. It's really the way we've always felt about it. I know that.
No doubt. No doubt. It's about a connection. It's about making sure. I mean, in the same way that you said somebody said they're changing diapers to you, right? I've met some people tonight, and it's quite frequent. Stuart Scott and I either put somebody on a school bus, or Stuart Scott and I would help them procrastinate in college. You know, and we would get, I still get that today, and it means a lot to me to hear that, that SportsCenter has been there, and it's about the marking of time in their lives, and seeing, you know, as you said, wow, you looked young, like, and had hair. Yeah, it's a marking of time for me too. And I look at that, and, you know, Susie introduced us tonight, and I met Susie in the newsroom, and our children are ESPN children by proxy. I look at that, and I think that's a different human being. You know, like, it's so long ago, it's a different part of a career. But the fact that I get to meet folks like tonight who are like, you know what, I was, you know, you helped raise me. It blows my mind, man.
It does.
But that's what SportsCenter means to a lot of people. And, you know, obviously, you might not have been thinking that in the middle of the night in 1979 or 1980.
Probably not.
It has probably not, but that's what it has become.
It does. No, very well put. Listen, we in this time, and I've felt this for a long time. And if I speak somewhere, and I've said this, and it hasn't changed, you know, we're even in a rougher time society-wise than we'd like to be for many reasons, okay? But that's not a political statement. That's unfortunately reality. But sports is one of the few things, still to this day, like music, that fits all shapes and sizes. You can be white or black, or pick another color. You could be rich or poor or in the middle. You could be old or young. You could be male or female. You could be, we all could have the same conversation about, hey, did you see the game last night with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Like, how could they have punted and when they had to go for it on 4th down? And we have a conversation, and it's us maybe leading it on the air, but sports kind of, yeah, you're a stranger, but we can talk about it. And it's been the most heartwarming revelation to me way early in the SportsCenter years. And if I had not done SportsCenter, I wouldn't have known this from the letters and the things and the people that you meet on the street and whatever. And I used to do baseball games every week in the 90s primarily. I would get in a cab and land in Cleveland, and I had the Indians maybe 4 times a year. They were good then. They were good. You know, Albert Bell, and I mean, Alomar, Sandy. I mean, we could go on and on.
It was in Albert who Bell? What was it?
Well, that wasn't a great. Sandy. Well, Roberto was remember the Alomar. Sandy was. Sandy had another one. Albert was not Ding Dong Bell. That wasn't a good one. But at any rate, I'd have a cab driver would pick you up, and he'd have the Indians game on the radio the night before you're doing the game.
Right.
And he's listening to it every night, right? I learned more in a 30-minute cab ride from a guy in a cab that maybe went to a game once a year.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Indians. And I didn't have to do any studying when I got there. My point is, we all can talk. And if that's what sports does above everything else, not I hate this team. That's a bad word to use in sports. I really root against this team different, you know? If SportsCenter helps put that people that we never see, but you're out there, then we've done our job. I don't mean to get heavy, but I really feel that.
When was the last SportsCenter you did?
I used to come back like to keep DiMaggio's hitting streak alive.
Yeah, that's again. That's what you did. That's what you did in 01 with me. You know, like I think I might have done 1 or 2 with you that week. But when was the last time you've done one?
It's been a while now. I mean,
you want to do any more? When you want to go back in the
listen, I mean, I'm there for a few more years. It's too late for them to get rid of me now. So they had their shot and they missed. And
come on,
you know, they underpaid me for 20 years. They overpaid me for 20, and now it's kind of a wash. So I'm semi-retired. I just do my football. I do my prime time, and maybe in this year of us having the Super Bowl, not that that has to do with SportsCenter, but maybe there'll be a time to go do one, although it's a different show. I'm not saying it's not good, but it's different. And
well, it's different because everybody sees things in the palm of their hands. You know, as soon as somebody comes up with a play that you would want to say, I can't wait to see it on SportsCenter tonight, it's different now because you've seen it 5 times and alerts on social media, on Instagram, or whatever. I know that you're not on Instagram.
God, no.
I know. So
I'm a child of the 20th century.
But no, but I think though that there is, again, tonight you see this awesome Strand Theater in San Francisco filled with people that remember these times, and it's a powerful emotion, nostalgia, and I'm leaning into it. So what do you say? You want to do another SportsCenter, Chris?
Are you going to do it with me? Well, who knows what this
How about
means,
that?
Right?
Yes, I will bring back 2001. I might have the same suit. It might not fit. I won't wear the hair. I won't have it.
Well,
but yes,
there are
I would do
Beetlewigs
that.
out there.
I would love to do that, as a matter of fact.
Well, I mean, you having this show, we almost have to go back in time, and we almost have to do it. I mean, not that I.
We'll figure it out.
Not that I'm looking to fill my days with more work. Well,
that's right.
Although SportsCenter's not work. Okay, let's. We're not in a coal mine. Let's understand.
One night only. A one night only. Plus, I need to rack up this moment. It's not my finest moment. I need to rectify my attempt at a Chris Berman nickname from the 2001 SportsCenter show that's rolled out.
The Flames in Nashville. The Flames go down in Nashville 1-0. The lone goal scored by Vladimir. This is Orsog. This is yours. I don't know.
Elton John. Vladimir is a big fan of Elton.
I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to make a play. 1-0 is the final score. The Flames 0 for 4 on the power play.
Nothing wrong quoting Elton John. Hey, listen, imitation is the highest form of flattery. You know that, but it's a game everybody can play.
I think Gus Ramsey gave me that one. You might have the famed SportsCenter producer.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Who came up with so many catchphrases for so many people. But you might have given me.
You might have. Listen,
I try to lay into it. Certainly, since I received 2 Berman nicknames from you, which meant I had made it as well.
Well, didn't I call you?
There's 2 different versions.
Well, the one is Rich Betty Davis Eisen.
That's correct.
And well, eyes, I could go. What else? What, that was kind of the one I was.
The other one was Rich Kaleidoscope.
Oh, Kaleidoscope eyes.
You went Beatles,
rock and
Kim
roll,
Carnes.
man.
You went Kim Carnes and Beatles.
Well,
you get 2 different versions of
it.
You know?
Rock and roll music. That was our internet. Okay, that was people in Seattle and people in Mississippi and people in Buffalo and people in. I knew they were here and. And people in St. Louis and people in Pensacola, Florida, we didn't know it. We were listening to music similarly on our radio station. Right. When you meet somebody later, you bring up, oh, remember Inagata DeVita? Or, I mean, I'm dating myself there. Or remember, we can go a little later than that. But yeah, I listened to that when I was in high school. While I was in college. And sports and music are kind of like that. But music was our internet. Now, that's just a little social statement by me. I liked it better than the internet, Frank. It's a whole nother story.
Well, Boom, I can't thank you enough for sitting down here tonight. I wouldn't have wanted to do This Was SportsCenter without having you part of it, certainly in the first season, certainly here at a Super Bowl and in San Francisco, which I know is a special place for you. And so thank you very much for taking part in This Was SportsCenter, Chris Berman.
Well, listen, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Round of applause for Chris Berman, please. Thanks for being here for the live version of This Was SportsCenter.
ESPN News will have all this. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
Chris Berman, Rich Eisen. Ciao.